David Linden.
Thank you very much, Ms Ryan. As ever, it is a great pleasure to serve under your chairmanship. And can I first start by congratulating very warmly my honourable friend from Lanark and Hamilton East for securing the debate. It's also good to see the Honourable Lady the Minister in her place, and I think she knows how much I respect her and value the close working relationship that we have, particularly given my constituency caseload. So I therefore hope that my remarks today, based on that constituency casework experience, are reflected upon in the Department of Work and Pensions, and that action can be taken to build a social security system which is truly underpinned by respect, dignity and human rights. So at the weekend, in anticipation of today's debate, I asked constituents to share their thoughts with me in respect of this subject. Indra from Tollcross said, I asked if they, the assessor, knew anything about my genetic condition. They didn't, but said it didn't matter. I asked if they'd worked in mental health treatment and again was dismissed. And Indra went on to say, I left feeling worse off and totally demoralised instead of supported. So I guess that brings me to my first concern I have about the assessment process, which is something I actually highlighted during my own debate on work capability assessments way back in December 2017. And it's a source of great regret that we're back today discussing very much the same issue a year or so on. Because essentially there is a concern which is echoed by the Rethink Mental Illness report that staff who perform assessments have an incredibly poor understanding of mental health. Now, during December 2017's debate, and to kind of illustrate that point, I told the House how my constituent was asked if her son still had autism. And I think that is just an absolutely shocking thing to learn, and the fact that that's something that we would even hear from our constituents should send a bit of an alarm signal to us. We've also seen examples whereby assessments have been carried out by physiotherapists for those with a mental health condition. Fundamentally, that's like asking a chef to do the work of a car mechanic. The second issue I wish to raise relates to those vulnerable constituents who might have anxiety, because too often we're asking people who struggle with the most basic tasks to complete long, convoluted forms riddled with jargon and really difficult questions. That was a point that was made very eloquently by the Honourable Lady from Morley and Outwood. Even yesterday morning, when meeting with the manager of Easterhouse CAB, I heard a story of a man who started filling out his universal credit application over Christmas, but it became so overwhelming that he didn't complete it in the end, and the mess that has caused that the Citizens Advice Bureau are now having to clear up is very considerable indeed. We also know from experience that constituents who perhaps fail at the initial assessment submit their mandatory reconsideration and are left for weeks on end worrying about the outcome of their appeal. This is simply not conducive to people with poor mental health. I also want to briefly raise the issue of fibromyalgia. Very happy to give way to the Honourable Gentleman.
I thank my honourable friend for giving way. Do you feel like me that some of these people are being tested and tried before they get their money, before they get their benefits? And it really does bring on anxiety, and that's what really these people, that's why the Demis report last week is so important to this, to review it and look at it, and people shouldn't be tested to get some money.
With the Honourable Gentleman from Coatbridge, Christen and Bellsill, and he will see that through his constituency caseload. He'll see that at his surgeries, and I'm sure that's something that we all see when we do our surgeries during the week, so I would absolutely concur with that. But I want to raise briefly again the issue of fibromyalgia, and I know that myself, my honourable friend from Lanark and Hamilton East, and the Honourable Lady from Morley and Outwood were here for that debate, because there is a very legitimate concern from fibro campaigners that the Department for Work and Pensions does not recognise the significance of mental health and fibromyalgia, which spans anxiety and depression. So I would be grateful if the Minister could tell me what work is underway in her department to explore what further training and support can be given in that area, specifically to work coaches as well. So in conclusion, because I do want to give some time to my honourable friend from Strangford, there is so much more to be done to ensure that those people we represent, the most vulnerable in our communities and our constituencies, so that they can go about their lives in the knowledge that when they're assessed for benefits, that fundamentally it's done so in a way that is underpinned with dignity, with respect and with human rights, because I'm afraid that the current system simply isn't getting that right. And as a result, the British Government is failing the most vulnerable in society at the moment, and I think we would all agree that we can and we must do better. And I would outline, as I did at the beginning of my remarks, that because of the respect that I have for this Minister, I do believe that she is the Minister that can take that forward. And so we look to her in our summing up for some encouragement on that, because there is a strong cross-party consensus here that we all want to work together to protect the most vulnerable in our constituencies, and I look forward to supporting the Minister as she takes that forward.
Yeah.